Hey everyone, my name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to make yet another video about EF Ultimate Break. They are honestly my favorite way to travel, especially travel internationally. And today I actually wanted to talk about my experience being an EF ambassador, which I didn't know about until maybe a year ago, and it has been so amazing. I'm sure there may be a lot of questions about what does it mean to be an EF ambassador, what is an EF ambassador. I didn't know what it was until about a year ago, and I don't remember how I found out, but I just remember thinking, you know what, I'm gonna apply and see what happens. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what an ambassador entailed, what it meant, what you got out of it, what you did for EF. I'm the type of person that if there's some kind of opportunity, I just kind of go for it and see what happens. So going back, I had found out that EF has a ambassador program back, I want to say in like January of this year. And at that point, I had actually started this channel. I've had this channel honestly for a long time, but actually actively posting on this channel I started during like the height of the pandemic. This kind of was like my pandemic passion project that I've been wanting to do forever, but just life gets crazy and busy. And at the time before the pandemic, I was living in DC as a grad student and working, and it was a lot. But I'm really glad that I started this channel during the pandemic and I'm still going on with it. But I thought, you know, I make travel videos sometimes and maybe they'll accept me because I already do that. And they did. So I want to say, if you are thinking about being an EF ambassador and you don't have a big following, I don't have a big following. My biggest following on all my platforms is on YouTube, and as of now it is about 500 subscribers. So you don't really need a big following at all. I just want to say it's more important that you want to talk about travel, you want to talk about specifically EF Ultimate, and you have some kind of something going on a social media platform that's not just like you posting about your life, but that you're already talking about travel in some way. I did have a friend that went on her first EF trip and applied to their ambassador program and didn't get in. And I think that's because with her, that was kind of the case where she just kind of had an Instagram that had like pictures here and there about her life, but there wasn't anything specific with travel. What EF looks for an ambassador is just somebody who is passionate about travel and wants to use their social media as a platform and a way to talk about travel, obviously specifically about EF, to their audiences and to essentially promote EF. And honestly, I was talking about EF before I even knew the program existed, because I had made videos last year, maybe even the year before, and I'd only found out about this in early 2022. And I've been traveling with EF since 2015. My first trip was the European road trip, and then I've done a bunch of other Europe trips since then. I went to Eastern Europe. I did their England, Ireland, Scotland trip, basically visiting like different sections of Europe in different trips. And then I'd also more recently done Ecuador and the Galapagos, as well as Costa Rica, and I still want to do so many trips with them. Going into the specifics of the ambassador program, so with the ambassador program, there's a bunch of kind of little rules that you just kind of get to know as you go about being an ambassador. For example, you have to do like a yearly training session, and I didn't know that until a month ago, and I had been an ambassador since January. And so it was just a Zoom call with a bunch of other people, and you just basically listen to kind of the updates and the main points about being an ambassador. But in addition to that, you're part of a Facebook group with all the other ambassadors, just talking about plans for trips or sales on EF or whatever it may be. And with that, you get your own link as well as a promo code, but I heard that they're getting rid of the promo code, and that is the main thing for being an ambassador. The whole point of being an ambassador is that you talk about EF, that'll create hype and an interest, and they want to have people go on an EF trip, and they use your code and your link, and that person gets $100 off. So what's great about being an ambassador, because we're essentially doing marketing and promotion for EF, and EF is not paying us a single penny. Why are we doing these services for EF? What is the point? Well, I'd already been talking about traveling and EF, all like I said, for free. It's just one of those things that I'm willing to do for free, and I do for free. I love it. Travel is really my passion. I love maps. As well as you can see behind me, I majored in international relations in college. I just love all things international, and my top thing, if I can choose for what to do, it is just to travel to as many places as I want to go. So I was happy to be a part of this community that also has all these different people who have the same passions and interests as me, because I do have a lot of friends that love travel, and I've met them through EF, through studying abroad or whatever, but it still can be kind of hard sometimes to find friends who are super passionate about travel and actually travel, like not all the time, but travel fairly often. I've had so many instances where I wanted to do some kind of a trip and people said they wanted to do it, but then they never actually got around to it and things like that. So just being able to be in a community of people who also specifically like the type of travel, because I have travel friends that I love. But for example, I have a friend who is just a solo traveler. She only likes to do solo travel, but in this community, obviously everyone is obsessed and loves EF travel just as much as I do, and I just love that so much. So I think that is a huge perk. And in addition, we have this website called The Embassy, and on there are specific ambassador trips that are only available to ambassadors who have gotten a certain amount of points already in their account, and I will get back to points in a second. And from there you take ambassador trips and get to meet other ambassadors that not only love travel, but they love EF, and they love EF enough to be an ambassador, and they have some kind of like social media kind of interests when tying it into travel. And I just think there's so many common interests. I just really want to do an ambassador trip and try to make friends with all of these common interests, and I actually booked one yesterday. I was not expecting to. I was thinking of wanting to do a trip, but I looked at my brand champ, which is where you can see all of your activities and your points, and I saw I had all these points available. So I feel like I'm alluding to all these different things I need to backtrack, but with the different ambassador retreats, they go on basically the same trips that you see on the regular EF website, except this is for only ambassadors like I mentioned, and they are at a discounted rate, and it's a pretty good discounted rate. So I would say a lot of times they're like $500 to $1,000 off, which is amazing. And I've seen ones that, like one recently went to Iceland. Some of the ones coming up are going to Japan, South Korea, Kenya, or a New Year's trip in London and Paris, things like that. And I have been wanting to do them in the past, but haven't gotten around to it yet. But I think the biggest thing about being an ambassador is that you get to possibly travel for free. So I feel like it's the ultimate travel hack, even though on one hand I'm traveling for free, but at the same time I'm providing services to EF, so it's not like I'm just getting handed these trips for free. I have to work and put in the time and effort to talk about EF and let you guys know about it and just educate you all, because I know when booking new trips it can be stressful, especially if you're going solo. Like I was just looking at G Adventures last night, for example. I'd never been on one, and just trying to see like what's the age range, what's the payment plan options, what's this, what's that, and it can just be very anxiety inducing. So doing that for EF and trying to answer questions for you all, I get in exchange some sort of rewards. I think it's kind of a win-win situation for everyone. If you already are planning to do an EF trip and you're gonna book one, you can use my code and just get an extra $100 off, which is great. There's so many different discounts you can add, like during the Black Friday sale or some other kind of sale that they constantly are having throughout the year. And then you can add my code and maybe another code, and all of a sudden you've, you know, gotten a couple $100 off of your trip, which is amazing. And I would say there's definitely, EF isn't the cheapest way to travel, but there's definitely way more expensive trips. So I think that's amazing to be able to get pretty good deals on trips. So you get a discount, you get to hear more about EF from people like me who have gone on many different EF trips, and then I get points in return. And there is a point system, and once you hit certain milestones, you can get different rewards. And if you get to a certain amount of points, you can earn a free trip, which is so cool because obviously travel, no matter what, is gonna be pricey. And I had worked for almost an entire year. I started in January and I got enough points to earn myself a free trip in mid-September. So I've got my free trip. I was so excited and I booked Japan. So I'm planning to go to Japan next year. Obviously that's not going to include like absolutely everything if I want to do like additional souvenir shopping or tipping or anything like that, but the actual trip itself, the flight, the hotels, like everything you get when you buy an EF trip at the base price is included, which is so exciting. So it can show you that you can be like a super small like influencer. I don't even want to use that word, but like you just have a very small subscriber count or follower count. You could still find ways to get really cool opportunities, and I never thought I would get an opportunity like this from just having like a super small channel. And yeah, I'm just very thankful for it and very grateful for it. I was looking again last night at my brand champ points because there's somebody who works at EF and they're in charge of just the ambassador program in general, and I was talking to her about the ambassador retreats and how I really want to do them, and she hinted that my code was used several times during the early Black Friday sale, and I didn't think about the possibility of like, oh, maybe people were waiting to buy their trip for Black Friday and use my code. I don't know why that didn't cross my mind, but I got really excited, so I've been checking my brand champ and I hit a free trip again last night. So first one took many months and then the second one took like 2 months, but because Black Friday is the best time of the year and I'm sure that's when I'm gonna get the most points by far. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna book another trip. So I did, and one nice thing about EF is that if you buy the travel insurance, which I always do and I highly recommend, it's not too crazy expensive. You can move around your trip within like, I believe it is a 60-day period, and you can just move it to a different time or to a different trip. So you're not like truly locked in. And that's what really got me to book my Japan trip and got me comfortable booking my Kenya trip. Although it's not like if I lose all those points, I'm not losing like thousands of dollars, but it's worth thousands of dollars and I definitely don't want to lose all those points. But I had no intention on going to Kenya or Africa next year. That's definitely, East Africa is definitely one of my top like regions of the world that I do want to visit, but I was prioritizing South America, which I did get to do this summer, along with East Asia, which Japan, I'm doing that. But I thought East Africa would have to be like, you know, on hold a little bit, just of like wanting to do East Asia more and, you know, having a job and life here in the Seattle area. But on the ambassador Facebook page, there's been so much hype about this Kenya trip. It was almost full, at least last night when I booked it. There was still space, but it was getting really full. Everyone seemed so excited. I looked at the itinerary, and if you want to go to Kenya with EF, it's available. It's the same exact trip. It's so cute. There's a giraffe sanctuary. I love animals. There's all kinds of animal type activities, and so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna book a trip to Kenya. So it's just like, what is my life? I'm just like, okay, got points and I'm gonna book a trip. So yeah, I'm so excited. And I will say the free trip that you get is only up to a certain price point. So with Japan, it is actually quite expensive on EF. It is over a $5,000 trip. So my free trip did not actually cover everything, so I still have to pay some amount, but the Kenya trip was fully covered. So I'm just so grateful, and I don't want to come across as like bragging or anything like that. I just know that if you hear about the ambassador program, you may think like, what is the point of an ambassador program? Who can join? How does it look like? All the different information. And I just wanted to share you all my experience with it. That is the gist of the ambassador program. I can link below like a little promo video I saw recently about it. And EF is not shy. They let you know like, hey, if you're an ambassador and you get enough points and referrals, you get a free trip. So that is amazing. I also saw an article. I could not read it in full because I don't have a subscription to the magazine company. Maybe if you do, you can read it. And to end it off, no surprise, I have a link, I have a code if you want to use it. They said something about you might not have, there's a link and there's also promo code. EF might be getting rid of the need to add the promo codes, and you might just have to click on the link. I'm not sure, I'm just gonna include both, but if you're planning to do an EF trip, feel free to get an extra $100 off. And every single EF trip I've done in the past, and I've done, I believe, 5 or more, I have to honestly look back and think about it. All of them I've paid absolutely in full. It is my favorite way to travel, hands down. If I was an ambassador, I would still be doing the Japan trip and all the other trips. So don't worry about that. I am a huge fan of EF. I just love that I can go on a trip. I don't have to worry about my friends and family's schedule. If I want to go somewhere, I have the ability with time and everything else. And there are automatic friends that you can make on EF and travel together, and everything's done for you. I love it so much because it's really a hassle-free, easy way to do it. And I know it's scary to go solo. I am an introvert. I do not do well like being in social situations alone. I'm good at being alone, but not in like a situation with a bunch of people alone, if that makes sense. But every time I'm able to make friends, and it's amazing. And I personally I don't prefer to like go travel completely solo. So I love that this has a built-in community to be able to do different trips with. And EF is constantly getting new trips. So definitely check them out. Highly, highly, highly recommend them. I just love them so much. And thank you, EF, for accepting me as an ambassador. I'm so excited about my trips. And I'm hoping the timing works out, because honestly, I just kind of booked Kenya. Not to get into the specifics of my work situation, but I don't know what it'll be like in August, but I'm sure I can make it work. So definitely being a little impulsive, but it's fine. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other questions about being an ambassador, please let me know down below. I'll try to also find the link for the application, or where you can find more information about it as well. And good luck to getting into the ambassador program and possibly getting some free points and trips of your own. So happy travels, and I hope to see you in a future video of mine. Bye.